You are listening to a MetalExpressRadio.com interview. Enjoy.
Hi, this is Mick Burgess, and I'm joined today backstage at the Clooney in Newcastle with Jeff Scott Soto from Soto and assorted other bands. Hi, Jeff. How are you doing?
Fantastic. I wish we could say we're backstage at George Clooney's place. every time someone says the name of the venue, I feel like George is going to be coming through the door any second.
So this is really the first steps of you establishing the band as a brand.
Yes.
Over here, so you're playing six shows in total. I mean, last night was the first night of the tour in Wolverhampton.
Sure.
How did that go?
That was a great turnout, and again, by announcing that this is a band, by announcing the fact or proclaiming that we're going to be doing primarily material from the two albums. Of course, we're dropping a few things from my past, but I don't want it to look like a best of tour like the past has been. I want people to recognize this as its own entity and start kind of weaning away from the familiarity side of my career, because if in any case, if anybody puts a new band together, even if it's a super group, you don't really hear Winery Dogs, for instance. They weren't going on tour playing half the set of Mr. Big songs, even though that would be the most common thing to do since two members were in Mr. Big. They gave that familiarity at the beginning, and then they moved all that stuff out. Now they only do Winery Dog songs, and that's how we're trying to portray this situation.
Yeah, it's probably the same that the Dead Daisies too, because they've got John Carrabba,
exactly.
Motley Crue, they've got guys.
They could easily do Hooligans Holiday and something from Tishy, all the different. But they factor all that out, and they want people to concentrate on the bigger picture.
Yeah, I mean, are these the first shows that you've done this year, apart from the cruise? So this is the first land-based shows you've done this year?
This year, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, last year we did a lot of shows, and this is the only block of shows that we're going to be doing in 2017, because I've got a wallop of things coming up that I've got to tend to, and everybody else is also dabbling into other things. But in between, we're going to be working on new Soto material and releasing singles along, just here and there. As we are now independent, we're without a label, and that's kind of by design. We wanted it to be.
Yeah. So the bulk of the set's going to be from the two Soto albums and a couple of
with a few scrambles in there.
Marco Mendoza, your old bandmate from Soul Sirkus, is in town today. I don't know if you knew that.
Every time I look at an itinerary, I see he's going to be playing where we're playing, and I keep missing him.
Yeah, so I was just wondering. It's a shame you didn't get in touch, and then you could pop over and do a jam.
Yeah.
But
and if he had contacted me, I absolutely would have squeezed them in somehow.
I mean, is your touring lineup the same that sort of recorded your latest album, Devok?
Yes.
So it's the same
lineup.
same
yes.
touring lineup.
And it's actually the same lineup that I used for my solo touring for the years previous, before this turned into a band, and hence the reason why we have the chemistry's already been established. Yeah. We always felt like a band when they were just my backup band as Jeff Scott Soto Band. I play and bounce off these guys better than I do most bands and things and situations I've ever been with. Whereas in the beginning stages, I'm the one that's calling all the shots, building the set list, basically telling everybody what to do. Now I respect them enough to know what we built chemistry-wise to be able to do it together.
It also must make it a bit easier actually choosing your set list, because you don't now have to look back through 50 odd albums and think, what am I going to do?
What am I missing? Yeah, absolutely. Now the arguments are, well, because it's kind of, I remember the old Queen interviews where they were, whose song was going to be on the B-side, whose song was going to be the single, because they used to write individually back in the day. Yes. It was never the four of them collaborating and making the songs together. So it would be like, well, if my song's on the A-side, this one should be on the B side, and those were their fights. And it kind of reminds me of, when Dave Z says, "Well, I want my song to be in there, but it's not as strong as this song." I think it's so we go through all that now. It's all in good fun though, because we know exactly what to do.
Yeah. Because Inside the Vertigo and Devok are much darker and heavier than the stuff you've been doing more recently. I mean, did you specifically want to be exploring more of your heavier side than the more melodic rock side and the funk side?
I actually missed that side of through the years, and I was dabbling into the stuff that I hadn't done, the stuff that I wish I'd done, or the stuff I wanted to explore, but I was actually missing where my roots were established when I started my career, which was the heavier side of things. Now I'm not going to go back into time and start doing everything I've already done. I'm gonna take the heavier side and kind of redesign it so to speak, and kind of fit it to where I feel comfortable doing it. And that's exactly the whole idea behind Soto.
Yeah. Did you feel you couldn't sort of explore that side with your solo work?
At first I did, and it was a manager I was working with at the time that told me this doesn't sound like a solo album, doesn't sound like a Jeff Scott Soto album.
Yeah.
And the sounds and the styles were so different, they were so abrupt that he said if I try to sell this, even trying to find a new label, a new record company for you guys, it was going to be a hard sell, but it'll be easier sell if we sell it as a band, if we sell it as a brand.
Yeah.
And that's where he actually came up with the idea that everybody knows your name. Instead of coming up with a whole new name and a whole new, trying to establish your name with a new brand, just use the word Soto.
It's got a ring to it.
It just is. The only problem I've had along the way is like, your logo looks a bit like Toto.
Yeah, never thought of that.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, well, that's right. Because Divac came out last year, and that was barely a year after your debut album.
Yeah.
So that's pretty quick work in this day and age. You know, you're not doing a Def Leppard and taking 5 years to record one verse. So you must be in a pretty creative zone at the moment.
It was a culmination of the fact that I wasn't satisfied with the results of whatever the promotion or whatever the overall results of the first album, Inside the Vertigo. I wasn't pleased with the fact that we didn't get enough people or attention or focus behind it. There was no real game plan when we released it. It was kind of like, well, let's throw it out there, see what happens. We didn't do many interviews, we didn't do much setup behind it, and it just kind of fell flat.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to wait another year and a half. I wanted to try and keep the momentum of the fact that we're establishing a new band. I told the guys, let's go straight back in, let's record a new record. I told the label I want to get it out there right away because we're still talking about Inside the Vertigo. Next thing you know, a whole new record's out there. And also, we never toured for Inside the Vertigo. I wanted to get this band on the road, but I didn't want it to be a year after the fact to get us on the road to establish one album. I would have rather had 2 albums of material to choose from and then put us on the road, and that's exactly why we put it out so soon.
Yeah, so you're on a headline too now. Have you got your eyes on maybe doing hooking up with a support slot?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the way the game works out there, promoters are looking at what you can actually draw. I mean, if you're looking at some of the venues we're doing on this tour, for instance, we're bringing in attendance-wise anywhere from 150, 200 people a night. Yeah. People who are going to be taking a band on without a buy-in situation, without us having to pay to actually open up, they're going to be wanting at least 400 or 500 attendance billing. So they're not just going to give it to us, and we're not really wanting to buy on. So there's a kind of gray matter in the middle. We have to keep building before we're going to be taking on a package situation.
So what about your main songwriting partner? Do you sort of write with anybody in particular, or do you all write together?
It's pretty much an individual's. I'm the one that comes in and colors the canvas.
Yeah.
Where the songs come from, they're all instrumental. They present it to me, and again, this is where I'm probably still the only one that makes the final judgment on that, as the band member, as the band leader, whatever. I'll get songs from the guys, I'll get collaborations, I'll get songs from other friends, other writers, and I'll say this is going to fit perfectly for us, and that's where I finish it with the writing of the lyrics, the melodies and such. The main collaborator in the band is the drummer, Edu. He's co-writing the bulk of the material, and he's got a partner in Brazil that he works with on a lot of other things. He's the perfect fit for what we're doing. He knows and thinks exactly what I'm actually wanting, and every time the two of them collaborate and send me a song, it's gold. So they come in. You've got the music already, and then you put your melodies. Exactly.
It's quite a tricky way of doing it.
It is. It's worked thus far, and sometimes they'll send me something. I'm like, well, where do I start singing here, or where do I not sing here? And that's kind of up to me to decide after I've listened to the song. If something doesn't really fit or work, I have to either redesign it or copy and paste it or cut it up and edit it, and then I say, now we re-record it this way, and now it makes sense to me.
Yeah. So what does divac mean?
Divac is a Bulgarian word for wild, savage, crazy. We kind of coined it after my wife is Bulgarian, and we brought a little kitten home from Bulgaria, a stray, and we basically saved it, and it went from the streets of Bulgaria to the hills of Los Angeles.
Oh, not bad.
And the cat as much as it's probably happy that we saved it, he's a little wild, a little mischievous. So she's always cursing at him in Bulgarian and always using this word divak. I'm like, what does that mean? And it was a perfect description of what we're doing musically. So I kind of took the two, and
that's probably the best.
And it sticks out more than just calling the album one of the song titles, you know.
Best explanation for an album title.
And hence there's a Black Panther on the cover of the album. Yeah. That's where the image of the Black Panther we have.
Your cat doesn't look like that, though.
No. If it did, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
You've recently done a video of a cover of Michael Jackson's Give In To Me. I mean, it's a fantastic cover. Why did you choose that one to cover?
Again, it was Edu that it springboarded from him. I love doing covers as long as the covers say something else than the original versions of the songs. Like we did with Talisman, we did with Frozen and Crazy. We kind of reestablished a great song with our own interpretation of it, as opposed to just covering it verbatim. And I think maybe Edu was he might have been creatively hit with the idea of that Disturbed did the Sounds of Silence cover, and he's like, I love the way they took Simon and Garfunkel, something that you would never imagine in a metal band, and created this whole new aura with it. And that's what he wanted to do with this. So when he sent it to me, I'm like, oh my God, you totally captured it. And that's why I started very low and moody, and then it just punches you in the head.
I know exactly what you mean about the Disturbed cover, because they played in Newcastle just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to tell you what, that was a show-stopping moment.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And as well, because we are independent now, I made the decision, let's do that song and throw it out from the jump of reestablishing ourselves as a band without a label, and we're doing everything on our own. I think we can make more headway and kind of, I guess, break the ground that we need to with something that does come from familiar territory. Most people know or have heard that song, but now we're giving them something familiar yet with our own touch to it. So it's kind of reestablishing the fact that we're still going at it, and now we can actually focus on original material after this.
Because I've always liked the way you've picked the artists you've covered. Prince, Sam Cooke, Madonna. They're not the typical rock band, so it's you put a different slant on them. And I've always liked the song Abraham, Martin and John that Marvin Gaye did, sorry. And I always thought you'd do a really good version of that.
Oh.
I don't know if that's a one for future reference.
Stored.
Yeah. Because you're in a very fortunate position of being a very versatile vocalist. You've done the metal stuff, the melodic stuff, funk and soul. I mean, is that sort of a reflection of the music you were listening to growing up? You listen to the Van Halens and the Black Sabbaths and the Deep Purples, as well as the the Funkadelics and the Prince.
And that was my thing growing up. I didn't like Deep Purple and and Black Sabbath and Ted Nugent and Cheap Trick, all the bands that all my friends loved. Kiss, forget it. You couldn't play me one of their songs when I was a kid. I grew up with the Marvin Gayes, the Motown, the Michael Jackson, the Sam Cooke. That was in my household, aside of the fact that I'm Spanish, so we had a lot of Spanish salsa music growing up. So it wasn't until some of those rock bands were kind of tapping into that territory of the R&B sound, from Journey to Toto to even Boston weren't as heavy. They were very melodic, and that's where it was more soothing to my ears. To me, the other stuff was just a bunch of noise. But I learned to later appreciate it. I I love Deep Purple now. I love Aerosmith now, where I couldn't stand them when I was a kid. So it was interesting to be able to take that world of not liking that music and now establishing it with the world of music I did grow up with.
Yeah. See, I'm exactly the opposite. I grew up on the Kiss, the Deep Purples, the Rainbows.
Yeah.
And now I love listening to the Four Tops, the Temptations.
Yeah.
So I've come the other way.
Absolutely.
We probably met somewhere in the middle along the way.
Right. And that was very reflective on the band and the people I surround myself with, especially in Soto. These guys can play virtually anything. Yeah. And they say the jack of all trades, master of none. These guys are master of all. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons, by design, everybody had to be able to sing lead in my band, not just backing vocals. Everybody is a lead singer in my band, and they must be so versatile that if we wanted to go into a fucking reggae mixed with a polka, we can do it and actually master it. I don't know if I can curse on this, but I just did.
Well, I'm looking forward to the reggae polka later. I'll be very disappointed if you don't do it.
You're gonna have something later that's not really quite that, but it is a bit out of line from what we normally are trying to accomplish here.
Because You're also part of Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I mean, how did you first get involved with those? I mean, it's a massive touring organisation, isn't it?
Well, Al Petrelli is the musical director for the West Coast production, and he's been there from the very beginning. It was from Paul O'Neill's idea of his poetry and the stories that he wrote, to Al being a part of Sabotage, that he was there from the very beginning. And I've known Al for the better part of going on 30 years now. So I lost touch with him for a couple of years, or a bunch of years, and we ran into each other at a friend's wedding, and it was when he was telling me this was established and this was what they were doing, and I looked at him like, okay, good luck with that, and peace, brother. This doesn't sound like it's going to work at all. And years later, after my tenure with Journey, I get a call from Al saying, hey, I'm talking to my boss, we're in the studio working on the next TSO album, and your name came up, so I wanted to know if you'd be interested in coming down and meeting him and seeing if your voice fits with the characters that he's putting together for this new album called Night Castle. Within literally 20 minutes of meeting and talking, I knew this was something that was going to turn into what it has turned into. I just finished my 9th tour with them.
Right.
I met in 2007. 10 years since I met Paul O'Neill, and I'm part of the family. So it's a great thing to have that aside of everything else that I'm doing.
We seem to miss out on that over here because it seems to be massive touring pull in America. And I think I might have toured once or played a couple of shows in this country. I'm just hoping that maybe one year it'll do a full-blown tour over here.
It's tough because Paul's vision costs a lot of money, and unless you have enough ticket sales to make it worthwhile, we have done 2 tours in Europe already, but it has to be presented in a way that represents what he has in his head. And if it's not done that way, and if you're doing it to half audiences, it doesn't. It takes away from that. So I know they're constantly spinning their wheels and trying to make it so they can bring it back out here, but in the way that is supposed to be seen, the way they see it in America.
I mean, you've got a lot on your plate musically at the moment with Soto, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I mean, what other projects have you got on the go? Because I know you've been involved in a lot of stuff, Takara, you've been playing stuff like that over these.
The next up is the new Wet album. That's been discussed and confirmed, and they're writing new stuff now. Even though the new Eclipse is just out, or it's going to be out, we're already getting ready for that next step. There's another new group, another project, whatever you want to call it, that's in the works. That I can't talk about yet, but that's going to be massive. It's going to be, the announcement's going to be huge, as well as I think the what we're actually piecing together with that's going to be great.
Right, you've got me excited now. You tell me off air.
I don't like those kind of things because until we actually create songs, until we actually see the magic is going to be there. On paper, it's on fire right now. So the other thing, I've been working with my producer off the Beautiful Mess album, a guy named Paulo Mendonça. He's a Swedish guy. We've been working on and off on a side project called Stony Mountain. It's more of a pop rock project, and it also features Peter Evers, the bass player from In Flames, who just left the band recently.
In Flames are just on with Disturbed and Sevenfold,
So it's Peter, Paulo, and I, and a couple other local guys from Gothenburg, and that's a really exciting project because the songs are just so good. There's such great crafted songs, and that's another album we're doing this year as well. So I've got those 3 things that I just discussed, and the new Soto stuff. So I got like 4. My head's going to be spinning.
Do you have a little calendar with your days off?
No.
Or does that? Or do you have to have
there's no such thing as days
3
off.
years ahead?
No.
Well, Jeff, it's been great catching up with you again.
Awesome.
The album's great. Can't wait for the show tonight, and best luck with all your other projects.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.
Awesome.